Long ago, in the quiet village of Omorika, there lived a poor widow named Mama in Kemdilim. Her hands were rough from years of famine, but her heart was soft like the morning dew. She had only one child, a boy named Obina, the light of her life, the reason she smiled even when her belly was empty. Every morning, before the first rooster crowed, Mama Nkemdilim would sing to him as she cooked porridge with smoke in her eyes and hope in her heart. Obina, my son, she would whisper, you will go far. You will wear shoes finer than the chief's son. You will stand tall among kings. But when you rise, never forget the one who carried you on her back. Obina would laugh and hug her waist, saying, Mama, I will make you proud. One day, I'll build you a house so big the moon will sleep on its roof. She would smile and tap his forehead. Then the moon would shine on both of us. Years passed. Mama Nkemdilim worked harder than 10 men. She sold firewood, washed clothes, and fetched water for others just to send her son to school in the city. Many nights, she ate nothing so he could eat. She walked barefoot so he could have shoes. Every sacrifice she made was like a seed planted in love. When the day came for Obinna to leave for the city, the whole village gathered to pray for him. Mama tied her only wrapper around his box and said softly, My son, go and chase your dreams. But remember, the road that forgets home is the road that ends in dust. He nodded, but as the bus left, a strange wind passed through the trees, whispering like an old spirit. Mama Nkemdilim watched until the dust swallowed the bus and her son disappeared. Time moved quickly like a running river. Obina's letters stopped coming. People said they saw him in the city, wearing suits and driving cars. Mama smiled each time she heard his name, her heart swelling with pride and longing. That's my son, she would say, the boy who promised the moon. But one day, a neighbor returned from Lagos with sad eyes. Mama Nkemdilim, he said, your son is a big man now, but he tells people he has no mother from the village. He says you are dead. Her smile faded like dying fire. She laughed softly at first, thinking it was a bad joke, but deep down, her chest tightened. No mother dies in the heart of her child, she whispered. Yet that night, her tears fell onto the same ground where she once prayed for him. The moon rose slowly above her roofless heart, pale and quiet. And as she cried, the old village drum in the shrine made a low sound, dum, dum, dum. No one was near it. No hand had touched it. Yet it beat as if the ancestors had begun to listen. Mama lifted her head and whispered into the wind, if the child forgets the mother, may the drum remember her name. When Obina arrived in the city, he was amazed by its brightness. Cars honked like impatient spirits. Tall buildings reached for the clouds, and everyone seemed too busy to even greet the sun. At first, life was hard. He lived in a small room with cracked walls and rain that dripped through the roof. But Obina was smart. He worked hard, learned fast, and soon found a job with a big company. His boss liked him. Customers trusted him. Slowly, he began to rise. He started wearing suits and using perfume that smelled like money. He learned to speak through his nose and laugh through his teeth. When people asked where he came from, he would say, oh, somewhere far away. You wouldn't know it. He never mentioned the name Omorika. He never mentioned Mama Nkemdilim. One hot afternoon, as he walked out of his office, a thin old woman with dusty feet stood by the gate. Her wrapper was torn, and her basket was full of groundnuts. She looked at him with shining eyes and called softly, Obinna, my son. For a moment, time stopped. He froze, recognizing that voice. It was the same voice that sang him to sleep as a child, but his co-workers were watching. His fiancée, Adaeze, the chief's daughter, was beside him, her face turned in disgust. Do you know this beggar? She asked. Obinna's heart pounded. His pride spoke before his soul could answer. No, he said coldly. I don't know her. Madam, please, move away before security removes you. Mama Nkemdilim's hands trembled. Her lips shook, but she only whispered, "May your riches never make you blind, my child." Then she turned and walked away. That night, she sat alone outside her small hut, staring at the moon. Her chest felt heavy, but her faith did not break. She poured a little water on the ground and prayed. "Spirits of our fathers, do not let my son's name vanish from your drums. Let truth speak when my voice cannot." Far away, in the shrine of the ancestors, the sacred drum, the one no man had played in 20 years, made a deep sound again. Dum, dum, dum. And this time, it whispered something more. Obina, Obina, the child who forgot the womb that bore him. The people of Omorika were afraid. The chief priest said the drum had begun to speak because something in the world had gone wrong. Days later, Obina announced a great celebration, a night of wealth and music, to mark his new company and his coming marriage. The city's finest came. Lights sparkled, laughter filled the air, and the royal drummers were called to bless the event. At midnight, when the drummers lifted their sticks, a strange wind passed. The talking drum slipped from their hands. It rolled by itself and began to beat loud, deep, and angry. "Dum! Dum! Dum!" the crowd gasped as it began to speak in the language of the ancestors. Obina, Obina, the child who buried his mother in shame. People screamed. Adaize fainted. The chief priest among the guests fell on his knees and shouted, "The spirits have spoken. A curse has been awakened." Obina stood frozen. His hands shook. Sweat ran down his back. He shouted, "Stop it! Stop that drum!" But no one dared to touch it. The drum beat faster and thunder rolled across the sky. The lights went off. Only the moon shone through the window, pale and cold. In fear, Obina ran from the hall, his fine shoes forgotten in the dust. The drum's echo followed him louder, closer as though the spirits were chasing him through the dark streets. "Obina! Obina! Return to where you began." He ran until dawn, through the bush path that led to Omorika. His clothes tore, his feet bled, but he didn't stop. When he reached the village, the rooster had just crowed. He pushed open the door of his mother's hut, but it was empty. Only dust and silence answered him. A broken calabash lay on the floor. On the wall, in white chalk, were the words, "Our mother's love never dies." Obina fell to his knees. His tears hit the earth like rain. "Mama," he cried. "Mama, forgive me, I was blind." Then he heard it again, the drum. But now it was gentle. It beat softly, like a heartbeat. Dum, dum, dum. He followed the sound to the old shrine, where the chief priest of the village was waiting. "You have heard the drum," the old man said. "Now, go and mend what you broke." For the drum of a mother's heart never stops beating it, only waits for its child to listen. From that day, Obina changed. He rebuilt his mother's house with his own hands. He gave food and clothes to widows, helped orphans, and spoke to every child who thought their parents were too poor. During the next festival, Obina stood before the whole village, holding the same talking drum that once cursed him. He beat it slowly and said, "This drum once called my name in shame. Now let it call my name in peace. May every child remember where their drum beats began." The crowd clapped. The elders nodded. And as he played, the wind carried his mother's laughter through the trees, soft, forgiving, and full of love. Because no matter how far the river flows, it never forgets its source. A mother's blessing is a drumbeat that never dies.